everyone, and welcome back to the second installment of our series on knowledge for awareness. Joining us today is Dr. Usha Vastare, who is the founder of Yogakshema Rehabilitation and Wellness Center and also a renowned neuroscientist. In our last episode, we discussed at length about the debate between nature versus nurture. We understood a little bit about the inner and outer environments, and we hinted a little bit about mindset. In this episode, let's do a little bit more deeper dive into these concepts. Doctor, we all understand what constitutes the inner and outer environments now, and we have also experienced the deep interplay that exists between these two aspects. To give like very simple examples, whenever we are agitated internally, or even if we are upset or we are not feeling good, we are very negative internally, it has an impact on how we behave. In our last discussion, you particularly spoke about the impact of mind, body on our behavior also, and that got this train of thought going within me, and similar to how we are feeling internally has a bearing on how we express ourselves externally. Our external environment, things that people might say or things that we might see or see outside or watch on media or read in newspapers, it also has an impact on our internal equanimity, our internal frame of mind. How do we deal with this tussle between the inner and outer environments? And in a very classical methodology, when we talk about this, there's a lot of times when people say that we should learn to not be affected by the external environments, or not let your inner agitation show off in your behavior externally and all of that. Is it really possible to decouple these two? Should we decouple these two, and is it possible? Those are some of the things I would want to know more today.
That's quite a deep question, Praveen. I would like to take this in two parts.
Sure.
Let me first take up the mindset aspect, and then later go into, is it possible to decouple, and should we decouple?
Yeah.
About the mindset itself. Do we believe that our ability, our intelligence, our talents, is it unchangeable over time, and is it set on stone? Or do we believe our ability, our intelligence, our talents can be improved through effort, and it is learnable and it is improvable?
Yeah.
These are the two types of mindset, and Carol Dweck, the scientist, has made a career out of this, studying mindset. The first is called the fixed mindset, wherein we believe, whatever traits that we have, it's almost impossible to change whatever talent, intelligence that we have. Whereas people with growth mindset believe that all of this is possible to improve, to learn, to change over a period of time, and of course with effort. That means all what we talked about with the nurture and nature debate, just that knowledge is not going to be enough. We need to put effort to put it into action. Ultimately, neuroplasticity happens, or the change in the brain happens, so that there will be long-lasting changes in our lives. This is only because of change in our experience, change in our actions, change in our habits.
Yeah.
For that, First, we need to believe that it is possible to change, that is that neuroplasticity. We need to believe in neuroplasticity, that is that belief system we need to change. And the second is to develop a growth mindset. Once we develop the growth mindset, then irrespective of age, then it is possible to change ourselves or to transform ourselves, to be evolving, to evolve ourselves. And as I always say, this evolution of human beings is not a stage to reach like it happened with the evolution of animals, and we have come to a stage of humans. Human evolution is a moment-to-moment process, and it's a lifelong process, which is again so very hopeful that it is possible to evolve even on our deathbed. So that is about the mindset aspect, which means our past does not have to define our future. So once we believe that, and then we need to carry on by putting a lot of effort. And the question about how our emotions should not impact the external environment, or the external environment should not have an effect on our state of mind. It does not mean that we have to have a poker face. It's not just externally. What happens internally is what we are talking about. That using our willpower, we can have a poker face. It's not at all an issue. We have all learned that. We have trained ourselves to do that, especially when we are in an environment where there is hierarchy, you know. This is a given. We're not talking about at that level, I'm sure. So, is it possible to decouple the influence of the external environment on our state of mind and to de-link our state of mind and not show it to the people externally? This is a deep question, Praveen, and I think I would like to answer this in 3 stages. There are 3 stages to this question. One is, the very first stage, we have to be involved with that external environment and go through the motion, ups and downs, and see for ourselves how much can we probably control and how much can we not control. All of this we will know only when we are in the environment, immersed in the environment. So that is the first stage. So we learn ourselves how much can we handle, train our mind. Maybe first control. The first stage would be at a level of control, using our willpower. Only when we know that, then we see, no, this is not going to be possible if I stay in this kind of an external environment. That external environment need not be even toxic, Praveen. I'm not talking about the toxic environment. I'm talking about day-to-day environment, being with elderly people with totally different views, or being in family with 2 politically opposing views, as a matter of fact. This is what we call it as conflict, you know. It is extremely important and even healthy to be in a situation where there is conflict. And we even have a word for that, situations of high conflict. And that is where we actually learn, and that is actually where we grow, actually, in a situation where there is conflict. That is the first stage. And that is where we will know whether it is possible for us to control ourselves, our inner environment, irrespective of the external environment. We will soon realize it's almost impossible at that stage to be able to have that equanimity and equipoise, irrespective of the external environment, because we are still talking about a conflict environment with our loved ones, with our colleagues, wherein we cannot avoid this environment. After that first stage, Praveen, comes the second stage, wherein it's very important to withdraw ourselves. whether mentally, physically, or both, for a period of time, to figure out our own strengths and to energize that and to have that little time and space for ourselves to reflect upon what has happened. Very important. Either in seclusion or you could be there physically, mentally be away and to know our own strengths. And once we do that, that is where we'll be ready for the third stage. Third stage is where then it doesn't matter whether you are with people with a lot of conflict or people with various different ideas. Once we figure out our own strength, then the external environment shouldn't matter as much. We develop that quiet confidence, wherein the first stage we will still be either arguing or defending or blaming. All of this will happen. And the second stage wherein we reflect upon our strengths and develop even more inner poise and equanimity. We won't get into the tools here. We are just talking at the level of concept. Once the second stage is done, and then we'll be ready to go back to the external environment, irrespective of that, then we will be able to hold our fort. And even if we don't, we might be discussing, not arguing, without it being affected. So we will get to that third stage wherein we would have developed very, what I would say, quiet confidence. And then you know what, if we are lucky, then we will be able to influence the external environment too.
So keeping up with my tradition, I'm going to try and paraphrase. So when we think about the aspect of mindset, and you laid particular emphasis how important it is to really believe. First, we have to believe that change is possible. And then second, like really work with the right mindset for it, the growth mindset. And in fact, even within Yogakshema, we go a step further and we talk about the evolving mindset. A mindset to evolve, and really talk about how we have to have that belief and couple that with the effort that is required to make that change possible. And that is where, when we talk about, okay, I'm ready to put in the effort, but oh my God, my outer environment is not conducive for it, or I keep getting demotivated and things like that. And Dr. Usha Vastare spoke about 3 stages in which we can evolve through this tussle, a seeming tussle that exists between our inner and outer environments. We have to first and foremost be part of it, experience it in order to understand how these influences play with each other. And again, to quote one of my favorite characters, Master Shifu from Kung Fu Panda, he says we need to first establish a level 0 so that we know from where we need to start. And that is where the interplay between the inner and outer environments and experiencing it gives us that ground zero, like, okay, so this is where I am. And once we have understood that, then we can learn, train ourselves to withdraw periodically and reflect. And that reflection is something that is most important for us to understand how we can overcome, how we can outgrow some of these influences that we have that are having a negative impact on the changes that we want to make within ourselves. And then in the third stage, we develop what Dr. Vastare says as the quiet confidence. And that comes with inner awareness and inner understanding. So, with that note, we come to an end of today's discussion, but this is not the full stop. This is just a prelude to what comes next, when we are actually going to talk about another deep aspect, deep concept that is called acceptance. So we will see our viewers again in our next session. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time. And as always, viewers, please share your thoughts, opinions, feedback. If you have any other questions that you would like us to discuss, post them. Send it to us at yogakshema.info@gmail.com. To know more about our organization, please visit our website www.yoga-kshema.org. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Namaste.
Bye.